Hi, welcome everybody. You have tuned in to our RD435 rotary die cutter demonstration. On this demo, we are going to be doing cylindrical table displays that we have printed out for a happy hour special for a restaurant. Before we get going on that, I do want to lay a little bit of groundwork again for the demo itself. We have turned the question and answer section off for the demo. And instead we have set up a special 1-800 number to get all your questions and comments answered. The reason we did that is because we do have a lot of end users and dealers joining these calls throughout the week, and for the sake of time we just wanted to have that be a separate conversation that we have. So we have designed these demonstrations to be oriented around a lot of the commonly asked questions that we get. So hopefully we get to a question that you do have. If not, you can reach out to us at 888-202-5579. We're standing by live right now to take those questions that you have, whether it's product question, specs, or application specific questions. We're more than happy to help you out with that. So just wanted to touch on that real briefly. With that said, let's go ahead and kick it over to what we'll be doing today. And like I said, we are doing what we call a cylindrical table display. It doesn't look like much right now. It's a 4-up design, but you'll see when we get done what it looks like. I do want to point out that we do have a black registration mark that will need to be printed on every sheet that goes through our die cutter. It's a registration mark and it's used for registration. So there's a sensor that we'll look at here in a second that reads that mark, and it's all about timing and when it gets entered into the cylinder, and helps with alignment and gets you that cut you're looking for. So put that back over here for a second, and we're going to have Sophia come in and help us out with the walking through the machine. So Sophia, if you want to come in here. What we'll do is we'll kind of walk through the machine section by section and look at the workflow of how the paper goes through the machine, and kind of give you some highlights as to what the paper is doing and how the machine works. So we'll start down here with a pile feeder that Sophia is looking at. It is an 8-inch pile feed capacity, so quite a bit of paper capacity there for those longer runs that you have. Sophia, if you can actually get in and zoom in, perfect. At the top of the middle of the screen there is a feed retarder strip that we have on the machine, virtually eliminating double feeds. And you can also see we have air channels for our airflow system to get you that perfect fluff of the paper. Pulling out just a little bit on there's 2 control knobs I do want to point out. The one over here on your right does control the feed retarder strip height. So that's an adjustment feature. The one over here on the left is your airflow feature for more or decreased air depending on your weight thickness. You have your emergency e-stop. And moving on, the next thing your paper is going to come to is our ultrasonic double sheet detection system here. It's a 6 sensor out of Germany, so a real high-end sensor for double sheet detection, eliminating any chance of a double feed going through the machine. Moving down here, we come to the registration table and the alignment rack, the marble rack. This is used just for, like it says, just for alignment. And after it gets through the alignment, it comes to the registration mark sensor. So just like we talked about just a second ago, that black mark, this is the sensor that's going to be reading that registration mark, and it's used for when does it get released into the cutting cylinder, so you have repeatable, accurate cuts from that sensor. Moving on down, we're going to look at up on top here. We do have adjustable pressure gauges. Those come in super handy when you are looking to cut multiple thicknesses of material utilizing the same die. So some of the die cutters you have in the industry are stationary. They are not adjustable. They're set at the factory. Ours does have the ability to be adjusted. So with that same die, you could run a 100-pound cover all the way up to something like 160-pound double thick cover. I said 100-pound text or 160-pound cover. So you can run a huge range of paper with the same die simply by adding or removing pressure off of the cutting cylinder. So with that said, let's go down here a little bit and we'll look at the actual cylinder itself. There is a back panel that goes over here. Normally, we do have this removed just for demonstration purposes here today. But you can see straight through here is our upper magnetic cylinder that the die is already attached to that cylinder. Down below that you can't see is a solid anvil cylinder. And those two cylinders are going to roll against each other with a slight gap just for the paper to go through. And as the paper comes through, your die is actually doing the cutting of the piece. Here is your stripper mechanism. And this is going to allow your scrap, or the skeleton as we call it, to be diverted down, and only finished pieces then will be ejected out onto the conveyor table. The conveyor does have a sensor here. As pieces are passing through, it will advance them forward. We also have an optional on-off switch down here that you can, with an adjustable speed knob, so you can kind of just leave it on continuous if you choose to go that route. So, with that said, we're going to go back over here to the HMI. This is the brain of the die cutter, the RD435. This is an incredibly easy to use, intuitive design. We specifically wanted a single screen operation where an operator wouldn't need to navigate 2 or 3 or 4 screens to set up a job and operate the machine. So what you're looking at is where your operators are going to spend 99% of their time. So pretty quickly we can kind of go through here and just look at some of the buttons. Across the top here we have the first one is single sheet feed. Pretty self-explanatory. You hit that button, it's going to feed one sheet and shut the machine off. Moving over to the right, you have your feed auto. The feed auto is going to be, it can be set up in 2 different ways to run the machine. If you have your batch mode turned on, which currently it is, your feed auto will run whatever you have set up as a batch. If you turn your batch mode off, like I just did, then the feed auto will continuously run until the pile feeder is out of paper. So those are the 2 ways you can set up your feed auto, a single sheet and a feed auto. Moving to the right is just your all stop. If you just want to stop operations of the machine, just hit the all stop. Moving over here to the left, you have your elevator controls up and down. You have your paper jog if you want to jog a paper manually through. Down here is a cut adjust. Cut adjust is really important during setup of a job to make sure your cut is actually cutting where you want it to cut. Your cut adjust is used to move that cut backwards or forwards depending on where it needs to go so that the die line perfectly matches your print design. Straight down the center here you have your feed roller release. Again, that's more for a manual feeding of a sheet. Your feed speed right in the middle, currently we're at 100%. Cylinder home, that just lets you know that your cylinder is in the correct position currently, that it's ready to go for operation. Over here to the right is your batch mode operation. Okay, so everything is done right here. So if we want to go ahead and get going, you got your first button is batch off or on. It's currently off. We're going to go ahead and turn it on, so batch is now on. You have sheets, number of batches, and what your delay is. So let's go ahead and get a job set up. So let's go 5 sheets. Let's go 3 batches of 5 with a 10-second delay. So it already has it in there, but we'll do it anyways. So we'll go 10 seconds and hit enter. So one note on that delay, it is a true numeric value. So no matter what numeric value you add to it, that's what it's going to be. So 10 is 10 seconds, 60 seconds. It allows you a lot of flexibility in the collection of it, having your operator, collecting pieces or off doing something else, to give you as much delay as you need in the collection process. All right. So with that said, we will get that going. For anybody that just happened to join us, what we're doing here is a cylindrical table display. You may be able to see them over there, maybe not. I don't want to spoil the surprise, so if they can't see them, I won't show one yet. But that's what we're running. It is a 4-up design on a 13 by 19 sheet. It is a 100-pound cover that we're running today. So with that said, we just set up a batch. It's 5 sheets, 3 batches with a 10-second delay in between each batch. So let's go ahead and hit that feed. I'm going to have Sophia help me out here, and she's going to give us a panoramic view of the machine in operation as well. So let's go ahead and get going. All right, Sophia, you want to come in here? Go ahead and hit feed auto. That'll send it into, because our batch is on, it'll run our batch under feed auto. 5 sheets, 3 batches. Here comes the first couple sheets down the line. You can see the papers registering on the conveyor there. And down here at the very end, you can see that the scrap is being diverted down. Finished pieces are exiting the conveyor. That was the end of our first batch, 10-second delay. Here comes the first sheet. Again, scrap is being diverted down. And finished pieces on the table. That was the end of our second batch. 10-second delay. And first sheets of the last batch. Sheets registering on the registration table. And there we go. So that is our last batch. We'll turn that off. So a 4-up design, just ran 15 sheets there. So we have our cylindrical table displays. Here's what they look like when they're put together. So I wanted to pop one out here. You can come over here and see. You don't need to move the camera necessarily, but I'll show you what this looks like. So you have these tabs right here on this side that stick out. And then here we have built into the die a slit. And I don't know if that's going to show up on camera or not, but you have to take my word for it. All we'll do is we will circle these around, and those tabs then will fit right into those slits. Oops. There we go. And that is your end of your circle table tent. So just a cool design that we had. A customer presented that to us, asking for something like that if they can see. And some of the other cool features of this, it's made to look like a glass cup. This has got Coke in it. It's got a happy hour display on it, and there's ice cubes sticking out on the top there they're jagged. All of that is built into the die of this design. So again, we can kind of look at what this kind of the process looks like. You start with a printed sheet, you end with the skeleton, the 4-out cut design, and onto the conveyor table are just the finished pieces. Easy collection, easy operation. One of the last things that we'll talk about, and we do get questions about this quite often, is about the die process. How do I order dies? What are the limitations of dies? How do I change a die? A lot of those questions, and we certainly can understand, those questions, as that's a pretty big part of the machine. As the manufacturer, Martin Yale, we do not make the dies. Nobody that manufactures the die cutters makes the dies. There are third-party companies. There's a couple big ones in the United States here that actually make the dies for us. We've partnered with a company called Impact Dies out of Elkhart, Indiana. They're about 30 minutes north of us. Great partner, great customer service in the fact that they will help train you and get you understanding what they need to get a die started for you. It generally just starts with whatever design you want, and they maximize it on the die for whatever sheet size you're going to run, and whether you want to strip the application or a non-stripping application, and they'll get a die sent to you that fits our machine. So
I do want to take you back over to the back of the machine and actually look at a die and actually remove the die from the machine so we can look to see how easy that process is. So we'll go back over here. Sophia will kick it over to the other camera there. And you do need to hit the emergency stop to move this cylinder, and we'll take the pressure off. And you can see just by me moving it with my hand how easily that does move. This cylinder is about 300 pounds. The upper magnetic cylinder is about 300 pounds. The lower one is about the same weight. So these are extremely heavy, but they move with really no issue at all. So all you need to do to remove the die is find the leading edge of the die and the trail edge. And you can see that right there. There's a division right down the center where there's a gap and it exposes the magnetic cylinder. So you want to find that edge there by moving the cylinder, and then take a die removing tool such as this. And it's just a flat piece of metal. And what you're going to do is just really easily work it under the corner. Oops, if I can do it there. No, come on. I am doing it behind the camera here. There we go. So all you're going to do is just break that magnetic seal just on the corner, and then you can take just your finger and break the magnetism all the way across. Then all you're going to do with your other hand is just rotate the cylinder, and it pops right off. So this is what the dies look like. It's a real thin piece of metal. We do have foam that is covering the die. This is called release lining foam. The dies do not come with it generally, but we add them, and certainly we can help get you some foam if we need to get you some foam. But the reason for the foam is that it helps eject the pieces outside of the die cut lines instead of burying themselves and getting stuck in the line. So it's called release lining foam. Many companies sell it. Die makers sell it as well. So, but that is what the dies look like, and we should be good to go. All right, with that does conclude this demonstration of our RD435 rotary die cutter, cutting that 4-up table display that we looked at. If you have any questions about the demonstration, about your specific application, or about the machine, we are standing by live right now on that 888 number. Again, that number is 888-202-5579. Standing by waiting, looking for your calls and get those questions answered for you. So appreciate you guys tuning in today. We're going to take a quick break, be back in about 5 to 10 minutes with another demonstration of another job that we're going to set up. So if you want to see, if you joined halfway through or you want to see another demonstration of another job, stick with us, and we'll be right back in just 5 to 10 minutes. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll talk to you later.